Hey everyone, this is Jane with Barlow Herbal, and today's message of love is a very interesting topic that I've been thinking about a lot lately. And it is basically this question: how will your actions and behaviors age? So think about when this whole pandemic started, and we all had our different reactions. We had our reactions about how things were being handled, the responses, the reactions of other people, their responses. And in the beginning of this, I had some very strong opinions about what was happening and how it was being handled. Like everyone in the world has strong opinions about it, and they're not always matching up with other people. And I watched as people that I loved, not just family members, but very close friends, and mostly friends and acquaintances, and how they would interact and respond to each other on things like Facebook or Instagram or just social media in general. And I watched as people who I knew loved each other were all of a sudden attacking each other. So pretty early on, I disconnected myself out of the social media thing because I found myself getting worked up. And I actually posted a couple things that got some pushback and some interesting comments from people that was not the kind of conversation that I wanted to open up. And I think it's not about not opening a conversation and having intelligent discussions, even when we disagree, especially when we disagree. I think that's actually really important. But I found that if I stayed on and I watched and participated, and even if I just simply observed what was going on between people, it hurt my soul. And it also made me more tense and more anxious and more angry. And I just decided very early on that I needed to disconnect. And I'm really glad that I did, because even in the real world where I had real conversations with people and there might have been some kind of heated, frustrated conversations, at least they were in person. And it's better in person. So my question to you, because I don't think it's ever too late to change our course, is how are you responding and how is it going to age? Because the way that I feel about how everything's happened hasn't changed. As things have actually gone on these last 2 years, I feel like I've got a lot of insight, a lot more information, but I also feel like my compassion toward other people who believe differently than me and see the world differently than me has grown. My compassion and empathy, and also my understanding, because it's not about saying I'm right and you're wrong, or okay, I'm wrong and you're right. Like, as modern humans, we have a really difficult time admitting when we're wrong. We have this big thing called an ego that definitely gets in our way, and I'm 100% guilty of that, just like the next person. And I've been really grateful this past, probably been a solid year and a half, that I've been off of mostly Facebook. That was, I still um, am a little bit involved in Instagram, um, but that's on my business page. It's not a personal page, even though there's some personal stuff I put on there, or just business with me personally doing it. But I realized pretty quickly how good it was for me to get off of there, because it was literally hurting my soul. But then I also realized that people are responding based on several things. So think about this. How were you raised? Our childhood and the people that the parents, the family, the community, the relatives, our school upbringing, all of these people who have a part in what forms us, we carry that typically into adulthood, and we tend to fall into the same things, the same thought patterns, the books we read, the movies we watch, whatever it is, even politically, the political family that I was born into, it definitely guided me in my thought process during this whole thing. And I think that sometimes we forget other people are simply coming at this from a different perspective, and we can still respect them without agreeing with them. And it's one of those things that I think it's really important for us to say, okay, even right now, we're in the middle of January of 2022. A year from now, how are you going to hope that you had behaved whether differently or, how is your behavior going to age? Are you going to be grateful that you had the insight to go, okay, how am I reacting right now? And how am I going to feel a year from now when so much is going to be different? The world is already very different than it was 2 years ago. And our responses, a lot of times we can't get those back. We put things out on social media. We might be able to go in and delete comments, but there's already been this heated thing happen. And I watched very dear friends respond how I never dreamed they would respond. And it made me anxious and angry. And I just wanted to shake them and say, how can you not see it from this point of view? And I'm sure that they felt the same. If I would have actually not had the insight to disconnect when I did, I'm sure they would have been like, how can you not see the way I see it? So my biggest message today is really consider how you are putting yourself out to the world, to the people that you love, even if it's someone that you don't know very well, but you're interacting with them. Maybe it's an old high school person you've reconnected with on social media and you haven't been with them in person, but maybe you reconnected through social media, which I know has connected a lot of people who would normally not be able to be in each other's lives, even on a platform like that. I think that's really, really huge, is to think how you would like yourself, your future self. How would you like to be in a year from now, 5 years from now? How are you going to wish you would have responded differently? I think that this message is one of the most powerful messages that we can actually implement right now, because regret is a wasted emotion because you can't take it back. You can definitely have a conversation. You can apologize, and you can even say, hey, my perspective is still here, but I'm very sorry I responded this way. There's always apologies, and there's always way to say, hey, look, I was wrong in this, or I was wrong the way I responded to this. And I think it takes, releasing a huge part of our ego that keeps us stuck in these things that we get so stubborn. And trust me, I'm a Taurus, and I'm one of the most stubborn people on the planet. If there's something I set my mind to, or there's something I don't want to do, sometimes to my own detriment, I am very, very stubborn. And it's a piece of me that I like, because I'm tenacious and I will get things done because I'm so stubborn. But there is a piece of that I also don't like, because it keeps me stuck in things that maybe I should just go, okay, you can kind of let that one go, Jane. and you might be like me. You might be like, okay, I'm stubborn too. But I think that this has been a very huge growth and learning opportunity for all of us as humanity. And like I keep saying, which is a common thread through all of the things as I talk about the things that I see from my perspective and the way that we can move forward as humanity, is that there is a rise in consciousness. I believe that there is an awakening. And it doesn't mean that someone is asleep in the sense that they're not seeing it from your point of view. This simply means that there are levels of consciousness that are awakening in people. We're realizing that we spend too much time, sucked into things that are just numbing us out and distracting us from real life. And we're realizing the beauty of being a human being, and that we chose, we chose to be here during this time. And why not take this and go, all right, I'm going to make my life in this moment, whatever my situation is, and I'm going to make it amazing. So why would you want to jump on to social media, or jump on a heated phone call, or start an argument with a person that you love, or a friend in a restaurant? Like, why would you want to do that? Because I think there's a way to communicate without jumping into it like a horrible heated argument. There's absolutely a way to do that. So I think that I've kind of covered everything in here that I wanted to say, but if this resonates with you, it would be interesting to hear what your thoughts are, because I think that, I'm not a super old person, but I'm not a super young person either. And I have been, at this point, 100% grateful for the growth and the learning and the emotional flexibility that I've I've got to practice what I preach. It's like, you know, do this, and it's sometimes it's easy. You flow through your life, everything's positive, everything's lovely, and I feel like the first part of this, even almost the whole time, I feel like there's been a part of me that's been lost, that I'm bringing back to full circle, because I can be compassionate and empathetic, and I can be a good listener, and I can look at the world from other people's point of view without getting worked up or riled up. It's really that simple. It's that simple to say, right? But to implement it can be a little bit tougher. So, here's what I wish for you. I wish for you to look at yourself in the future. Put yourself a year from now, and then put yourself 5 years from now. This is going to be a very different world. And from my perspective, I think it's going to be amazing, because I think there's a lot of old paradigms and old structures that are crumbling because they needed to crumble. They need to be built anew. And there's a new arising of what humans can do and how we can support each other, how we can take care of our planet. That's something that is talked about all the time. And a lot of us put that into place with our daily lives, the things that we choose, how we, the things we buy, the companies that we support. There's a lot of things that we can shift, but I think there's a lot of old corporate structures that are really showing that that needed to change. And I think that we can flow through this next period with grace, not just to our fellow humans, but to ourselves. If you've maybe responded this past couple of years in a less than flattering to yourself way, give yourself grace. It's okay. We are humans. We're here to learn. We're here to give ourselves forgiveness and compassion, as well as to our fellow humans. So stay in the light, keep moving forward, and realize that you can turn on a dime. You can make huge, beautiful changes. All you have to do is say, yeah, I'm going to sign up for that. I'm going to sign up for some changes. And I'm going to start right now. Don't wait until things get more back to how you are hoping they're going to get, or people respond how you're hoping they respond. Start it now. Start right now. It it's a kind of cool way to really see the world. Man, I could sit with you over coffee, and would be less. You might be surprised at. I am definitely not a perfect person, and I don't think you think I'm perfect at all. But I have been in conversations with people that I love, that have been less than flattering on myself. And, you say something, or after you have a heated discussion, that you are less, like I said, less flattering. You kind of want to go later, like the next day, or even later that same night, you might just want to go, oh, I wish I could roll that back in and think before I speak. I think we all kind of get caught in that, because we want to throw our opinions out. We want to throw our stories out. We want to convince someone to see it our way, when really the best thing that you can do at the end of the day is set an example. Set an example of how you want the world to look. And it can look beautiful even when we disagree with each other. In fact, I think that's what we're all after, right? So I hope you have an absolutely beautiful day. Thanks for tuning in as usual, and we will see you in the next one.